Hey everyone, this is Jackie Cooper with BLL Live, Blockchain Legal Institute News, and I want to welcome Patrina on for this Friday. How are you doing, Patrina?
I am good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. It's been a whirlwind week. For those that know that I teach, this is the first week of summer, but it feels like I put my feet on and they've been running ever since Tuesday. So it's been an exciting week for a lot of the projects. I'm going to let you talk first because I usually end up chatting a lot. But for those that are listening, we do have a lot of great things and news to cover. So, Patrina, what would you like to share?
I sent you an article a couple of weeks ago because I was just amazed by this attorney who used Chat GPT. Now, you and I both have used it. We've demoed it, had, webinars and things like that. And we talk about, its pros and its cons. It's a great tool and a great resource. Well, this lovely gentleman decided to use it to create a brief for a client, and he did it in a good place because this was a low income client who could not otherwise really afford his fees. And so he decided to generate this brief in motion. And unfortunately, he didn't check it. What do we say all the time? Check your information, because Chat GPT tells you that it has some limitations. And so the citations were either fake, it created citations, or they were inaccurate. And so he submitted this brief, recognized afterwards that it was inaccurate. Unfortunately, he told the story first and said that it was his paralegal who created it, and therefore that's the reason why it was bad. And then he came clean later. Thank goodness for that paralegal, and said that no, he generated it using ChatGPT and didn't check it. So all of that to say this. Oh, he was suspended from the bar. So it's Colorado. So I say that to say this. These are great resources, great tools. We even talk about it with using it for nonprofits. Matter of fact, we're doing a webinar next month, date to be determined, on how to use ChatGPT effectively to write grants, particularly for those smaller organizations who can't afford a full time grant writer like me. But this is a great way to use it as a tool and a resource. And so come learn about how to do this effectively. And so that you won't get caught. Because one of the things that we are worried about in our world, the grant writing world, is that we're afraid that funders are eventually going to say, no, you cannot use it at all. But right now, everybody's pretty open to it being used as a tool. Interestingly enough, my son, who is in college, said that he used not ChatGPT but something else similar, and it cited it and caught. It said that his some of the language in it was not plagiarized, but something to that effect. So it wasn't plagiarism. And what he highlighted and what he said, oh, commonly used. And he said the issue was that he put in the questions that he was supposed to respond to, and that's what it highlighted and said that those were common questions that it was seeing. Well, yeah, if you got 1,000 students who are all using ChatGPT, it is going to begin to pick up some of that language. So again, great tools, great resources. You just have to know how to use them well. So date to be announced. I'll have it by next Friday. Come and attend the webinar so that you all can learn how to do it and do it better.
Yes, I definitely agree that one that you always need to double check when you're using an AI tool, and AI is definitely getting um, one is being used more, and it's also getting more intelligent from the perspective of the information we're putting in.
Mhm.
But you still have to have the human element there. And,
Absolutely.
yeah, and also from a grant writing perspective, the passion for why you created the charity and the project that you're doing, um, it comes through differently when it's a person that's actually giving that sticky story as to why they started.
Absolutely.
And no matter how many times I tell the story of Blockchain Legal Institute's origin, you know, um, and I'm really grateful for that young attorney that came up to our booth, but it's like, you can't express that the same way when you are putting it into a computer like that. So,
Absolutely.
yeah.
I say that all the time to clients. No one is really going to tell your story better than you.
Yeah.
You can give me the origin story, and I can take that and put it into a grant and convey that information. But there's still something that's different from me writing it as a third party, hearing you tell the story, and the passion that you have for it as the founder, and as the executive director or grant writer for that organization. So that's a
You
huge.
know, I had a kind of extending what you were talking about in terms of from going from chat to personal stories.
Mhm.
I had a really great conversation I do many Zooms to kind of do intros as to what blockchain legal is. And I had a great conversation. And the gentleman today asked me to kind of put all that down into writing so he could then share it with his PR department, his marketing department, because he was in
Uh-huh.
the development department. And if my friend who's I talked to this morning is listening, I really do appreciate you. But the challenge that I sent back in the email was, it's hard for me to convey everything that I just shared with you in the last 20, 30 minutes through the online exploration in writing. Can you please set up a time for me to meet with the marketing person or
Mhm.
PR? So just 10 minutes,
Mhm.
because I think sometimes, and so I'm actually thinking that instead of doing letters, I might do videos now.
Video.
Yeah.
It's huge. And I'm
Uh,
even seeing that more and more, even for grant funders,
mhm.
where literally one of the grants that we just submitted gave them the option to do video
Yeah.
or a narrative. And I
Yeah.
was like, that's kind of cool. And now that really will take my job away
Well,
on some
no,
level,
no, not really, because you're going to help them script it.
shape it.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, shape.
Yes.
And, but after this morning, I kind of, I don't normally feel sad or depressed or, I have a lot of high energy, but I was saying to myself, and I write letters all the time, but I felt like I hit a wall, and I kept thinking, that's not going to convey the energy that I just shared with you for the last 30 minutes. And so, again, I thought after I sent the letter that, okay, I am going to have to pivot, and the video probably is going to be my next go that I'm going to do. And we'll see if people actually watch 10-minute videos, because everyone is in such a short mindset.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm
Talking
about to say
about support, we're already halfway in. Um,
exactly right.
I,
And
I,
that is true. I am seeing where the videos, they're originally were asking for 1 to 2 minute
mm,
videos. I say 5 minutes. And so that's something to think about. 10 minutes may be, you're right, a little too long.
Yeah. So I do want to share with everyone, Katrina has been helping the Blockchain Legal Institute Foundation, which is our 501c3. She's been helping all of our entities, but we were struggling. I was struggling this week with Google because I'm trying to apply for Google Ads. So for the last, I want to say, 2 to 3 weeks, this has been an ongoing journey. And I was really trying not to involve Katrina, but the reason why you do involve a professional is because it saves you time. And I learned that the hard way. So I'll share a little bit about the journey so you can lesson learn and then reach out to Katrina. So I thought that by just creating a Google Gmail and then going through the uploading of the documents, you could get the Google ad thing. No, there was a few steps, and they denied it. And now we do have an email for our website, but they wanted it in the Google family. So then I thought, okay, let me just do X, Y, or Z. And again, it was not. So I finally reached out to Katrina. I said, what am I doing wrong? So we work through the Google Workspace. We work through, instead of doing it on I was going to say the human side, but everything's human, the individual side and not the business side. And then, okay, we got into that. And then the next thing was on the verification of the domain and the verification. And again, there was a whole series of steps that I ended up having to reach out to my virtual assistant. But without Katrina's not history and background knowledge, it would have taken a lot longer. So now we still have to wait 2 weeks because Google does its thing, but we're hopefully going to say, yes, you've got it. And then we can kind of, share out. So definitely, it definitely is worthwhile having someone who's experienced. We experienced that. I experienced that with the SAM.gov. Every time you were just saying, no, do this. And, if I was to do it on my own, it would have been the same hot mess. So.
And thank goodness, because you were approved like almost instantly. So I was grateful for that part of it, because sometimes you just never know with Sam.
Yeah. So I wanted to share that experience. If you're a nonprofit going for Google Ads and the grants from that, definitely reach out to someone like Patrina who knows the how to network there. And then I also wanted to let everyone know I am doing digital will asset organization.
Yes.
And I'm doing a workshop that is closed right now, everyone, if you hear about this. It's tomorrow, but I'm working with an attorney in Nigeria, and we are doing an hour-long consultation to kind of get everyone with their mindset of what digital assets are, what they need. And even as we were prepping and planning this morning, a lot of new ideas came out for me with digital asset planning, because everyone think about this: real world assets. NFTs connected to real world assets. So what's the digital and what's the real world, and what's the legacy and what's the digital, and how are you going to explain that in your will? Because if you have a real world asset that has an NFT attached to it, then are you donating the asset to someone? Are you donating the NFT to someone? Are you separating it? Is it fractionalized? There maybe it's a clear answer, but you still have to outline it to someone who might not understand what all this is.
Exactly.
So there are a lot of new products being created within the blockchain space. Attorneys who are now navigating this, or the companies, because the attorneys aren't necessarily navigating this, but the families who are going to benefit from this. I don't even think this is a whole area that we haven't even talked about from the estate planning or wealth generation side.
Absolutely. And it's, I'm glad you're tackling this now, because again, people aren't even thinking about it from that perspective. And then you add in someone who may not even be familiar with some of the things that we're talking about. Like my mother has no idea what an NFT is. And so not knowing that, if something were to happen to me and I have this NFT, she wouldn't even know where to even begin to tap into that. So it has to be language out there, has to be information available to them so that they can access it and then use it as an asset. You don't want your assets just out there laying around with nobody able to actually benefit from them. That's not why we're doing this.
Well, and then there's a whole nother layer, and I will tell everyone I don't know everything. There are many attorneys out there that are a lot more sophisticated than me in the areas of trust and planning, but I know how to ask questions and then reach out to those that do know. And one of the questions that popped into my mind is also with regard to the supply chain, because now we are putting a lot of the supply chain on blockchain to end up helping account for various areas. And my question and my thought was, okay, what happens within companies when their staff or their CEOs or their other managers are not available to navigate this? And what sort of operating plan is in place so that way others know how to do what needs to be done in case those that are in charge of highly sophisticated tech, and maybe it's not that sophisticated, but for me, the idea of being able to go in and actually do any of the development coding to fix things or to access things, if you don't have the operating plan in place during your life, and then if something happens, those are things that all companies need to be thinking about.
Absolutely.
So, again, we live in the moment, which we should. We definitely need to, but we also have to plan for the future. And so it takes extra steps and extra time. Exactly. We are out of time talking about time. It's amazing. 15 minutes goes fast. I do want to let everyone know that we are actually going to start to have guests on. We've been asked to have certain guests wanted to hop on. And so we're going to start to schedule our Zooms, our lives, actually a little bit more consistently, because sometimes we're on and sometimes we're not. But, if you're listening and you would like to hop on and be a speaker because you are doing something that's really cool and you want our community to know, reach out. We would love to hear from you. I know that's actually how we've gotten some of the next speakers on the calendar. So any last minute thoughts, Patrina, before we sign off?
Just have an amazing weekend. It's just, like you say, it started the summer.
And it's the summer solstice. Can you believe that?
I'm about
it's the longest day of the year, and it's a pivot day, and I love it. Everyone, just a wonderful, positive spin. Absolutely. For sure. I remember about 6 years ago, it came up in my feed. I was with my daughter. We were in the UK. We were at Stonehenge on the solstice.
Oh, nice.
It was a wonderful, wonderful experience. It was on my bucket list. So I'm working down the bucket list.
There we go.
Yep. My next bucket list is New Zealand and Australia. And I was told by my daughter that she wants to go there next summer. So we're going to have to plan that. So yeah, exactly. So we'll be doing lives from there. Anyway, everyone, have a great weekend. We will see you next week. Patrina, thank you for everything. And as I always say at the end, always be kind to yourself, be kind to others. We're all part of one world, and now more than ever. Bye, guys.
Bye.